Okay, so today we're going to be talking about what type of FFL you should get. So the ATF has a fancy little diagram. I'll put that right here, where they show the different types of FFLs. Essentially, there are three main categories. So there's going to be your dealer, manufacturer, and then importer. Okay, and in these three categories, total, there's 9 different types of FFLs, 1 through 11. Don't ask me how that makes any sense. It's the federal government we're talking about, so should pretty much explain everything right there. So importer, which is an 08 or an 11 FFL, those are going to be for either destructive devices or firearms and stuff like that. If you're watching this video, odds are is those aren't going to be for you. So I'm not really going to talk too much about those. If you have more questions about those, post them in the comments below. Maybe I'll make another video. Okay, so now we're looking at either a manufacturer or dealer licenses. So in your dealer category, you have an 01, 02, and 09. So the 01 is your general storefront dealer of firearms. So that means you could get it directly from a manufacturer, aka Springfield, SIG, whoever, ship it straight to your house, deal to whoever, and follow the various rules for that. Also, for a personal firearm, if you wanted one rather than shipping to an FFL, you can ship it straight to your house for yourself. Now, there's some paperwork that you have to fill out and stuff, even if it's a personal firearm at that point, it still has to go through your FFL and then go to you, but still, that's something that you can then do. Any friends that you have that are in, when they buy something from PSA or whatever, they can ship it to you, and then you can go through the paperwork, fill it out, background checks, 4473 and all that, and then issue it to your friend. So transfer it to your friend. So 01 is probably one that many people watching this are considering getting, because that lets you do a lot of the things you want to do. An 02 is essentially for a pawnbroker, very similar to 01, but allows you to do essentially pawn firearms. And if you're not doing a pawn shop or nothing like that, go with the 01. And then an 09 is a dealer in destructive devices. If you're watching this, then it doesn't apply to you, because if you know you need an 09, you're not coming to this video to figure that out. There is a weird FFL, which is an 03. That is for like collectors. It's really cheap to get and super easy. You don't even have to submit like passport photos and stuff like that. But it allows you to directly get firearms shipped to your home, similar to an 01, but only for collectibles. So there's, like, if it's a museum piece or something like that, there's kind of some subjectivity a little bit to that, like if it's an older one. Or the easiest one is if it's 50 years or older, then you can just go ahead and get it right away. So that's probably not going to apply to too many people. So probably so far, if you want to deal firearms, you're going to looking at an 01. So then we look into the manufacturer of firearms. So firearms / ammunition. So an 06, that is the type of FFL that I have. It's sitting over there in the corner. That is for manufacturing of firearms ammunition, specifically small, like handheld firearms, so 50 caliber and smaller, also not armor penetrating ammunition. And that allows me to cast rounds, sell to friends, family, reload, sell that to whoever. We went on a work trip just recently, a work activity, and I just took some of my cast reloads, we shot those because it was a lot cheaper. And I can legally do that because I have an FFL. If you want to sell your reloads, I can talk about that in a video put here. So that's only for ammunition. So an 07 FFL is for manufacturing firearms. And so it's very similar to 01, where you can still get firearms that you didn't manufacture and deal in those as well, but it allows you to manufacture firearms and then sell them. So if you're looking at milling out like 80% lowers, or and then you can serialize those, submit all the paperwork. I'm not really talking about all the laws regarding all the FFLs, but that could be a whole nother discussion for another day. But anyway, it allows you to manufacture firearms, test them out, sell them, do any of that stuff. So 07 is actually pretty cool because it lets you do pretty much everything you can with an 01. It lets you manufacture firearms, and it also lets you manufacture ammunition, which is pretty freaking cool. So if I were to change my FFL from an 06, I would I would go for an 07, because it lets me do pretty much everything cool that I want to do, and lets me transfer firearms to friends and stuff like that. Again, all through the legal process, 4473s, acquisition, dispositions, all that kind of stuff. A Type 10 FFL, that FFL is for manufacturing destructive devices. Kind of same thing with the 09 or the 11. If you're watching this video, it's not for you. Don't worry about that. Okay, so that's pretty much an FFL. So to sum it up, you're most likely looking at 3 types of FFLs if you're watching the video. An 01 for dealer, 07 for dealer / manufacturer, or an 06 if you just want to like sell reloads and cast rounds and stuff like that. But most likely probably an 01 or 7. And here's actually an image showing the distribution of FFLs throughout the United States of America. So that means being an 06 FFL, that means I'm like one of only 1,800 total 06 FFLs in the entire country. So that's kind of cool. But I'm not going to do anything with guns, so maybe I'll change it to an 07 one day. So that's pretty cool. So now you should have a pretty good idea of which one you want. I'm going to tell you 01 or 07 most likely, maybe an 06. Okay, so now we're going to get into NFA items. So NFA items, 1986, whatever they passed that. I think it was a GCA then, or NFA anyway. So at that point, they made suppressors, short-barrel rifles, short-barrel shotguns, AOWs, any other weapons, fully auto machine guns. They made them so civilians couldn't have them. So at that point, in order to manufacture those, to deal with those, to import them, do anything of that, you need what's called a Class 1, 2, or 3 SOTs, Special Occupation Tax. So they're going to essentially tax you for doing your occupation. Welcome to the federal government. Anyway, so there's 3 different types of SOTs. So there's a Class 1, which is going to be the importer of NFA items. Most likely, if you're watching this, that isn't going to apply to you. There's the Class 2, which would pair with like an 07 FFL or a 10 FFL. So an 07, so then at that point you can not only manufacture regular firearms, but you could also manufacture NFA items such as suppressors, fully automatic weapons, any of that stuff. There's processes and ATF forms and tons of stuff that you have to do that I'm not discussing that today. So don't just go out and manufacture those stuff. Go through the process. But a Class 2 SOT paired with an 07 FFL is a pretty powerful combination. And then there's also your Class 3 SOT. So that's where people typically hear the Class 3 license. It's actually like an 01 or 07 FFL paired with the that special occupation tax, the Class 3. So a Class 3 allows you to deal with NFA items. So that means you could buy, similar to firearms, but now you can do like suppressors, fully automatic weapons, buy them, sell them, and do all that stuff. Again, there's like ATF Form 4s, there's your 4473s, there's tons of, I mean like an inordinate amount of paperwork that and the hoops that you got to jump through to do all this stuff if you want to do that. But it lets you, this video is the intent to be like, oh, here's my goal to get an 01 or 07, or I want to get my 07 with this SOT. This is kind of get you an idea of thinking, oh, this is where you want to be, not necessarily this is how you get there. We can do a whole nother video on discussing the steps that you need to take and filling out that paperwork. To give you an idea for the costs, for an 07 FFL, you're going to pay like $150 over 3 years, so that's not too bad. For the SOT add-on, the Class 2 SOT, you're going to pay $1,000 every single year. And then for ITAR registration, you're going to pay anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000. All this, you're likely going to have to make a business license. And then all the negative effects of having, your FFL in my video where I talk about why you may not want to get an FFL, all that applies. So it gets like, guys, it's crazy. If you want to deal with NFA items, start small, get an 01, 07, kind of get a feel for it, start doing all that kind of stuff, and then graduate from there. Anyway, guys, I hope that cleared it up. So essentially, to review everything, 01, 07, maybe an 06 you just want to do ammunition, and then if you eventually want to get a SOT, you're most likely an 03, a Class 3, or maybe a Class 2 if you're really hardcore. Okay, guys, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, if you wanted me to kind of walk through the paperwork that you're going to have to fill out for this, please put in the comments below. I can do that as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Suppressor, just watch it flies out this sidewall.